Okay, what I want to discuss right now is a subject that I think I left off with the last time, was talking about these latest decisions last week of the Supreme Court. I also want to throw in the abortion decision on this discussion as well. So, buckle up. If you find these issues boring, now's the time to turn off. Well, who am I talking to? Somebody watching this anyway. So I don't have to worry about audience reaction, except for yours. That's right. Nice of you to join us again, Congressman Santos. Always a pleasure. So, let's talk about the student loan forgiveness decision. I don't know where I am on that decision because I haven't read the relevant statutes, but I will say this, and I mentioned this earlier, but I want to put it again in context. That decision by the Supreme Court was not a policy decision. They didn't say it was a good idea or a bad idea to forgive student debt. They said was the statute under which Biden made that determination did not confer that authority on the president. Now, I just heard Ro Khanna, who is a congressman from I don't know where, I think he's from California. I think he's a lawyer and usually pretty sharp. But sometimes these people, it's not a question, it's a question of their own politics. And I really hate it when politicians get on TV and distort the law because they're speaking to their own base. Republicans, of course, are notorious for that, but Democrats do it as well, and he did it at the same time. It's one of these cringe-worthy moments where he said, if the Congress gave that power to the president, and the Supreme Court said that they gave too much power to the president to forgive these loans, and my view, says Rohana, my view is that's not a matter for the court, that's a matter for the legislature. And what the court should have done was said, I think the Congress gave the president too much power. The Congress should take it back if they think that that they gave too much power to the president, and the court shouldn't meddle. That's exactly the opposite of what the court said. Exactly the opposite. Because I read that much of the decision. The court said the Congress did not give that power to the president. They said the president acted beyond the power that was given to him under that act that was passed in the aftermath of 9/11, which did give the president some ability to monkey around with student loan debt. And whether that was a good idea, a bad idea, whether they went far enough or too far, doesn't matter. The president only had the authority that was given to him by Congress, and I'm questioning, and I have a question in my own mind, as to whether or not the court was right on that, thinking they might be, because we all know that the president can't, on his own, pass revenue-raising measures or measures that cause a further increase or decrease in revenue. Those revenue bills have to originate in the House. And and if the House did give that power to the president, I think they probably shouldn't have. But it's like this was the issue. The issue is, what did the statute say? That's not an ideological determination, even though people who didn't like the end result, every person I heard, and there's a lot of people who know better, in my opinion, presented that as though the court had made an ideological determination based on its own political views. So, for me, the jury is still out on that one. But I do know that the court did not make that determination based on policy. They made it based on a reading of the statute. Again, contrary to how it was addressed by the three member of the minority of the court, who also know better. Now, on the other two, I agree with the court. First one was on the affirmative action, and I've gone into a great deal of detail about that. But fundamentally, affirmative action is unfair. It's highly unpopular because it's unfair, and to take the Asian students and rank them as 0 on personality, as though Harvard really values and churns out people with great personalities. you get to know some more people who went to Harvard. So, and I have good friends who went to Harvard. They still don't have any personality. Anyway, so that's would be funny if you weren't one of the Asians who didn't get into Harvard. Like I said earlier, you could always go to Michigan or another school and still have a great career. But that's one issue which I feel strongly that I supported with them, and I was very glad to see that they did that. And that doesn't mean they can't still find ways to work race into the equation or try to get a more diverse student body. The court left that door wide open. I'm sure they'll try to do it. They haven't been highly successful in California in doing that, but it can be done. So put that one aside. So that leaves one last case, and that was the woman who didn't want to be forced to design a web page. I'm going to sneeze. Here goes. Don't watch. This is not pretty. I told you that wasn't a pretty sight. And I told you to turn away, and I gave you warning, but you didn't do it. I know, Santos. I know you like it. Stop applauding. It's unseemly to applaud somebody sneezing. You should just be polite and pretend it didn't happen. Okay. So that leaves the... someone didn't like my sneezing. Ha! Hey, little boy. What are you crying about? You want me to pay attention to you? I'm almost done with this. I'll wrap it up, and I promise you we'll go for a ride in the car and go sightseeing or whatever you want to do, okay? But don't cry now, because I got to finish this. If I don't finish now, I'll have to come back to this again. There'll be a lot of unhappy people. All right, that was my dog. So, Francois Pierre. Yes, he is a French bulldog. George, come on, stop interrupting me. So, the court made this determination that you can't have a state law which says, these are a class of people that you can't discriminate against, and they include the discrimination based on race, and I'm sorry, not race, on sexual orientation. So the minority was all up in arms, and all these people on TV saying, this is the first time that the court has ever said that a law which talks about a preferred class that can't be discriminated against by business, this is the first time the court has ever said that could be unconstitutional. And I'm like, well, has this exact fact situation ever come before the Supreme Court before? No, it hasn't. That's why it's never ruled on that before. They didn't overturn years and years of precedents and throwing out well-established law. No, they didn't. They've never had that issue before. And the issue here was whether or not a statute which confers a certain right to a person can have that right taken away, because that right, again, zero-sum game, taking that person's right to have a web page done which celebrates a whatever kind of marriage you want to have, that person's right to not be discriminated against in terms of being able to have a person who makes web pages make the kind of web page they want, that interpretation of the law, which is just a statute, it's not the Constitution. The 14th Amendment doesn't apply to private businesses. So what they said was a statute does not override a constitutional right. And we have a constitutional right of free speech in this country under the First Amendment. Hello. And so with that first, just a minute, this is my last sentence. You can really wait that long. I know you don't like this law talk, but maybe you should go to school and take some civics instead of lessons in whining and begging. Sorry. So the Constitution overrides statutes. So you can't, if you tell somebody, I don't want you've got to provide your services to this person, if that law is otherwise okay, which they said it was, and it is, that does not mean you can expand that law to telling people what they have to say, or in this case, create and write on a web page. That was it. It was a very narrow determination, and I think they were right. Now, I got to go because you know who, and George, you could have taken him out. Yeah, but then you would have missed all this. Yes, I know. But it's being recorded. I love you, George, but sometimes I think you and Francois made for each other. All right, that's enough. I hope you have a great 4th of July, and if you want any more fireworks, you're not going to get them from here because I'm taking tomorrow off.